Welcome back to Fox Eyes on the Hill. You know, Kamala Harris is expected to discuss key issues during the Democratic convention in Chicago. Women's reproductive rights, public safety, and immigration among them. Kevin Chavez will be at the convention. He is the D.C. National Democratic Committeeman and joins us to kind of preview what's going to happen in Chicago. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
One of the things that we have kind of talked about moving into this election is what the parties want to talk about and what the voters want to talk about. We just had a discussion with Matt about the economy, so I want to talk to you about maybe some issues that are pressing in people's lives. Public safety has been one. Washington, D.C. has posted improved data on public safety, but the crime spike that went on over the previous couple of years alarmed people, it concerned them, and it did shine a spotlight on policies that some people say maybe went too far in an effort to engage people in their own policing. What are the Democrats' answer when Republicans come at them and say, look at what you've done in these major cities. We had a crime spike over the last couple of years. It's your fault, Democrats.
Yeah, and we're hearing that. And even, you know, Donald Trump is saying if he's elected, he would want to take D.C. over, maybe even roll back home rule and reinstitute the control board. And we're certainly against that in D.C. And I think that now that Kamala Harris looks like she will be the nominee, the presumptive nominee right now, with her chops as a prosecutor, someone who put criminals into jail. She is a good foil, I think, for the arguments that the Republicans are making, because she'll say, look, I have been tough on crime, and if I'm elected, I will support efforts to put bad actors in jail. Do
you, as Democrats, see that as you know, twofold? On the one hand, you can use Harris's experience as an attorney general, a prosecutor, but at the same time, she's running against somebody who was just convicted of 34 felonies.
Yeah, and I think we also have a large section of our party that supports more gentle public safety efforts. I mean, they don't want necessarily people to be thrown in jail on their first offense, or they want us to look at rehabilitating criminals rather than just punishing them. So I think Democrats do have to balance the wants of the more progressive wing, some of the younger voters that we need in order to win, but also some of the more consistent voters, some of the more experienced citizens, the senior citizens who say, look, enough is enough, and we've got to do something to stop this crime wave.
I want to circle back on something you mentioned briefly there, though, that has been brought up lately. Donald Trump, in his acceptance speech in Milwaukee, did mention D.C. directly, and the fact that he would look at maybe instilling more federal control over the District of Columbia than already currently exists. The control board has always been out there as a threat and a possibility of it returning. How seriously do you take these threats, or are these just rhetorical things you think Trump is saying to his followers to get them on board with him?
I think we've got to take it seriously. You know, D.C., we've been bruised by, you know, years, well, really as long as we've had home rule. It's always been subject to congressional oversight. So I think for us, when we hear a president speak in that way, it definitely makes us nervous and makes us want to do all we can to make sure it doesn't happen. And we've seen, even with some of the appropriation bills that they've passed recently, that they've had some crazy riders in them with regards to what D.C. can do with our local dollars, and they want us to not use the automated traffic enforcement, or we can't spend local money on abortion and things like that. There was a long list. Some of them are really out there. So it does raise concern for us, and over the last few years or decades, we've been used to a little bit more lax oversight, and now it seems to be shifting the other way. And when he speaks like that, some people don't even realize D.C. has residents. They look at it as a federal city only.
Yeah, and how large of a role do you think D.C. itself is going to play? Because I don't think there were a lot of cities besides Washington that were called out as much as the District of Columbia was in Milwaukee.
Yeah, well, I think that, you know, we know that D.C.'s heavily Democratic. I think we've got the largest Democratic streak as far as presidential elections, so we know that we will vote Democratic. It's pretty much a guarantee. They don't really take D.C. as seriously in the presidential races because we've only got 3 electoral votes, and it's kind of a foregone conclusion who will support. But I think we can do our part to say, hey, if they're going to talk about D.C. like this and mischaracterize the life in D.C., he says you can't walk around the mall without maybe getting beaten or mugged, and that's not true. So we're going to have to use that as a rallying cry for cities around the country, I think, and say, if they're saying this about us, this is what they think about you all, too, in urban areas.
All right, Kevin Chavez, we appreciate you joining us for our look at the upcoming Chicago convention. We will see you in Chicago.
Yes, thanks, Tom.
All right.